Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. It's me again, Teacher Kent. And sadly, we can't have our online class today. It's because I am going to take excuse me, I am going to take my COVID-19 test today. Because next week, our school wants us to have on-site learning. So in order to do that, I need to be tested for COVID, and I can teach all of you as long as I am negative. So for now, I am just going to make a video for all of you to watch. Sounds good? I hope so. Anyway, let's start, shall we? By the way, before we start, I would just like to say I am excited to see you. To those who will come to school on Monday, I hope to see you. And for those who don't, it's fine. Keep yourself safe at home and protect yourself from COVID. Either way, I'm pretty sure we will see each other again, whether it be online or on site. Without any further ado, it's time to start. Okay? Now, we've already talked about natural disasters. Again, let's review. Natural disasters, it comes from nature. Disasters that come from nature. Natural means that it's made in nature. Disasters means something that bad happened over an area for a period of time. So natural disasters are bad things that happen in an area over a period of time. Natural disasters. Now, that being the case, we already talked about two natural disasters already. First, we talked about flood. Let's review about flood. Flood is what happens when an area is drenched or full of water over a certain period of time. For example, like what happened when there was a lot of rain all around Supanburi. So what happened? There's a lot of water around Supanburi. There was so much water that the houses near the rivers or the seas of the Supanburi province got water inside of it, or water went inside those houses. And that is what we call a flood. Now, I hope your house wasn't affected by the flood, because the flood, it happens when there's a lot of rain on an area and that area is not used to the rain. We always joke that Thailand has three seasons: hot, hotter, and hottest. In Supanburi, it's always hot. And if it rains, it will only rain for a short amount of time. So what happened is the rain itself rained for a long time, for many days. And what caused it caused the dam in Danshang to be overflowing with water. Now, in order to make sure that the dam doesn't collapse or break open, they started releasing some water. When they did that, the rivers near Supanburi, they rose a lot. And that is why some houses near the rivers got flooded. That is what we call flood. Now, what are the effects of flood? First and foremost, traffic. Okay, some cars or some motorcycles, they can't run in water. My car cannot run in water. My motorcycle can run a little bit in water, but after 2 days of running in water and turning my motorcycle into a mini boat, the tires of my motorcycle got very flat, because it's not supposed to be a boat. It's supposed to be a motorcycle. So if the cars and motorcycle break down in the middle of the road and there's a lot of water, what do you think will happen? There will be a lot of traffic. Not only that, Cars cannot brake as fast when it's raining or when there's water. So if there's a flood, the drivers of the cars, they won't drive as far or as fast. They will drive slowly to make sure that they are safe and they can brake on time. So there's a lot of traffic if there is flood. Second, well, animals might drown because you see, dogs, they know how to swim. But just like humans, we get tired, right? If we try to swim on a beach, on the sea, or even on a swimming pool, we cannot swim for a very long time. Maybe for a short time, but no, not a very long time. Just like with the dogs can swim, but they will get tired. And when they get tired, they might drown. That doesn't just apply to dogs, but it also applies to cats, to monkeys, or other types of animals. So the second effect of what we call flood is the death of animals and even humans. If there's a baby that doesn't know how to swim, the baby might get drowned. The third effect is destruction of property. Now, let's say your house, it was flooded. A lot of water came in. You did not know that it was gonna flood, so you left your cell phone in the ground. So after one night of raining, the water goes into your cell phone. Your cell phone becomes flooded. So what happens? Your cell phone is broken because there's no phone that can withstand a lot of water. iPhones and Samsung phones, they can stand a little bit of water, but they can't stand there for very long. At most, it's like 10 minutes of water. If it's more than 10 minutes, yeah, your cell phone is gonna get destroyed. And that just not applies to cell phone. It also applies to your computers, your laptops, and your tablets. Not only that, your TVs and other electronic appliances, they will get destroyed. So if your laptop gets wet or gets flooded, you can't have online class, it will get destroyed. Now, that's okay if it's just material things. It's not a problem. You can buy a new one. But what if the flood is so strong that it breaks your house? It makes your house, it destroys your house. What do you think will happen then? That's a lot bigger problem because a house is so big and you need a house to live. So the third effect of floods is the destruction of properties. Now, let me just open my PowerPoint presentation so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me just make my PowerPoint into a full screen PowerPoint. Then let's try and opening it again so you can see it. Okay. And so what should we do when there's a flood? Number one, we prepare a survival kit. And what is a survival kit? It's like a small box that has food, water, a fully charged cell phone, even the ones that do not have touchscreen, the very old phones that take a long time to become low bat. And flashlights, bandages, and all other necessary things, you prepare that for a survival kit. So that when your house becomes flooded and you need to stay on top of the house, on the roof, you won't worry because you have a phone that you can use to call the police or the fire department or whoever you need to call, and you have food and water to last you for a few days. Number two, you need to stay calm and do not panic. The first reaction people have when there's a flood is they panic. They don't know what to do. No, you should stay calm. Think about what you should bring and how are you going to escape the house or the place that is flooded. Number three, do not play in flood water. You see, it might be fun to try and swim in water, but flood water is a completely different thing. It's very dirty. You should not play in it. You might get sick. Number four, get to higher ground if necessary. Number five, after flood, check if electricity is dangerous. Okay, that is about flooding. Let's go to number two, erosion. Erosion is the weathering down and removal of rocks and soil materials by natural processes, mainly by water. Okay, there are two types. There's weathering and there's erosion. Weathering is when the weather itself, that's why it's called weathering. It comes from the weather. The weather causes big rocks to become small or to break down. Erosion is when those small rocks or small patches of soil goes down to another place because of the water, the rainwater, or anything else. That is erosion. So weathering is when rocks or soil becomes broken, and erosion is when it is traveled downward. Now, it's not just high places that have erosion. In fact, low places such as beaches or the coasts have what we call coastal erosion. And what is that? It's when the waves come crashing again and again and again on a specific area. What do you think I mean? Let's say there's a big rock in the middle of like the beach, and there's a lot of waves in the beach. Sorry. The waves continuously smack or hit the rock. Bam, 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 hitting the rock again and again and again. What will happen to the rock? The rock will break down. And what will happen if the rock breaks down? The rock becomes smaller. And the rock that is broken down will be carried by the waves. And then when the waves hit the rock again, the big rock, the smaller rocks that they broken will hit it, and it will make more damage to the rock. That is called coastal erosion. But it's not just rocks that are eroded. There's also sand. The sand is actually pulled away by the waves, and then the sea will become saltier because it has more sand compared to the beaches. The beaches or the seashores or the sand near it, it actually loses sand about 1 centimeter per year. It might be small, but in 10 years, that's 10 centimeters. In 100 years, that's 1 meter. And 1 meter is not really that small. If you are 5 foot, your height is 5 feet, you're about 140 meters, 150 meters. See, it's not that small. It's almost as big as a human. So what do we need to do to stop erosion? Or why should we stop erosion first? Well, we need to stop erosion because the soil, especially the topsoil that is usually eroded, they have all the nutrients that the plants need. So if a farmer is farming his plant on top of a mountain, and there's a lot of erosion, after a few years, the mountain will not have any more plants to grow because all of the topsoil, which has all the nutrients, will go down and he can't plant there anymore. So what does a farmer do? He does a lot of things. He mainly does these things. That is called terracing. What will happen here is that if there is rain, the rain will slowly stop one step at a time. It's like a staircase. But instead of going down directly, each of the stairs will try to stop a little of the water. So what will happen? Instead of all the soil going down straight, it will stop at the next floor. Only a little bit will go down to the next floor, and the next floor will stop again until it will stop majority of all the soils that is being pushed downward. And also farmers can also plant like this. You see, when farmers plant different types of crops every year, they are actually conserving the nutrients of the soil. So even if the topsoil is removed, when they're finished planting, there's some nutrients left, and that nutrients will be used by other plants. And the other plants will not, this will give the soil enough time to gather more nutrients that this plant does not need, but the other plant, the next plant to be planted, will need. So anyway, that's just a quick review. That's just enough for today. I hope to see you guys on Supalak School by Monday. Goodbye.